When you need her, she'll know what to do and she'll be there for you. Where you will lead her, there's nothing Adele couldn't think of to do. She's all you ever needed in the wrong situation. You're caught in the middle, no way of escaping. Till out of the blue she runs into you. There's nothing that she couldn't do. She's a travel counselor.
Hi Jacob.
Hey,
Good to see you again.
Yeah, you too.
So you changed your mind from the car?
Yeah, no,
Sessions?
I'd forgotten about this place. It's just as secluded as a car, I guess.
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah, I like it here.
Yeah.
So how's your week been?
Yeah, not great.
Oh, that's not good.
No, I just told you about crap that's going on at work. Just my boss is just so unreasonable. It's just a couple of shifts this week. They were just so ridiculous. It's the first time I've ever actually wanted to lash out. I full on wanted to deck him.
Oh, really? Well, because I remember last week you told me that you don't really
Yeah,
get angry.
that's the weirdest thing. Like I've never felt that frustrated.
Wow.
Normally I close up, I retreat, but like this is just, it's pushing me. And I guess with everything that happened recently, it's just like things are a bit shaken up.
Yeah, sure.
So like in the moment when I felt like knocking him out, it made me think, it just took me back. It made me think of the time that my parents were arguing, and it was a pretty bad fight for them. Like stepdad ended up hitting mum. She turned around and she knocked him flat.
She did that? She punched him?
Yeah, good on her for standing up for
Yeah.
herself finally, but
These 2 weekly catch-ups with friends, you just got to stop. It's way too much. Way too much.
Why can't I go out?
Well, it's just too much.
You get to go out with your friends.
Yeah.
You get to go out whenever you want.
What do you do all day?
Well, I clean, I cook, I'm here all day.
Oh,
Looking after
work.
the... No, I want to go out. Let me go out.
No, it's just too much.
No. You get to do whatever you want.
Oh, you reckon? You control me so much.
I'm over this. I'm over this.
Where do you think you're going? Get back here.
You alright?
Get back here!
What were the repercussions of it? Did anything bad happen?
I don't really remember. I just know that they didn't really fight standing that close to each other that I remember again.
Wow, okay. And do you still see your parents?
No. I haven't seen them for years. I was kicked out of home when I was 17.
Oh, wow, that's young.
And over the years, while I was married and stuff like that, it all came to a head. Like the reconciliations and the fights and stuff that would always happen, it just let me down too many times, and I've just cut contact.
Okay, fair enough.
Just too toxic.
So who has been your connection for all these years then? Have you had cousins? Have you had
No, beyond
friends?
them, I've got no one.
No one at all?
No.
So not even friends?
Oh, I've got friends,
You got friends?
but they have their own stuff going on.
So how do you cope being so isolated?
You just deal. Like you just gotta push through. Just like in sport, you just have to push through the pain.
Yeah. So is that how you've been feeling your whole life? That you've been pushing through? You've been in survival mode? Have you actually?
I guess if that's a term.
Yeah.
Like, there's just no time. Like, I don't have an alternative. You just have to do what you do.
Well, when you were kicked out of home firstly, what was that for? Why did you get kicked out so young?
Some crap. Like, I'm pagan, like witchcraft sort of
Okay.
stuff.
Yep.
And my parents are lapsed Catholics, so not the most devout people. But still, when they found out that it was like the end of the world. They didn't want to have a devil worshipper in the house, which is completely not what.
You may need to explain that to me.
Paganism is
Paganism.
like it's like it's an umbrella term for earth religions or earth beliefs. So it's
Okay.
like it's witchcraft, it's druidry,
Okay.
it's basically just honouring the earth and nature and things like that. There's varying degrees of how intense some people believe it, but yeah, it's just it's less dogmatic and more like personally freeing in what you believe and what you can do.
So did that clash with your parents' beliefs?
Well, there's a lot of misinformation about it. Most of
Right.
people think witchcraft, they think devils and demons and stuff like that, and like satanic stuff, and it's not.
Okay.
And so their assumption and their flat out refusal was, I couldn't accept it,
Yeah.
and that was one of the last things that I was I couldn't let them take that from me as well.
Okay. So you said take away from you as well. What else did they take away? Was there something else?
Anything I wanted to do with my life, like acting, writing, singing, anything like that.
Okay.
So anything that I actually was passionate about or good at.
What did they want you to be?
Farm boy. We lived up in the country, and just follow in stepdad's footsteps, and it was all they knew.
Okay.
So it was all they knew. Like they did what they could, but it wasn't enough for me.
Hey, go on out.
Where you going?
Just out.
What's in your bag?
Nothing.
Hey, what's in your bag? What's going on? What's this? What's all this stuff?
It's nothing. It's just paganism.
Looks like devil worshipping to me.
No, it's just about honouring the earth.
What's this?
Nothing
Crystal
to-
Bible.
It's nothing to do with the devil.
The only Bible you should be reading is the Bible of God.
What
It's
I
devil
believe in.
worshipping. No,
It's what I
it's devil-
believe in.
It's devil
It's not
worshipping.
devil worshipping.
It's devil worshipping.
Like I said before, it's about honouring the earth.
No, none of that in the house. I'm sorry.
If you can't accept me for who I am, screw this. Let me go. Let me go. I'll see what comes up. I'm out of here.
Where are you going? Come back. What's going on here? What are you doing? Where are you going? Come back.
You keep walking, pal. You're not
back.
coming back, mate.
No.
If you come back, you're not coming back with that family name. Just don't even bother coming back.
She's a travel counselor.
Have you actually ever faced your past? I don't think you've had counselling before. I think you told me last week.
No, I have no offence,
Yeah.
but I have an aversion to this just because of all the crap my mum went through.
Right.
Just watching her with all the various counsellors she's seen and psychologists and stuff, I don't have faith in it.
Okay, so
As a
you don't
process.
believe your mum was treated well during her bipolar treatment? Yeah. What makes you say that?
Well, for all the time she spent speaking to people, there was very little visible result in resolution for all the crap that she's been carrying. So I just don't feel like talking really does anything.
So did you kind of feel like you were let down by professionals? You wanted things to get better, but they never got better? Is that what it is? Did you maybe as a teenager, you wanted things to get, you wanted these people to help her or help her family?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because, shelling out money to like private psychologists and things like that, it's a big drain on the family, and when it's ongoing for years upon years, like you start to wonder whether anything's actually good is coming of it.
Yeah.
So I didn't see the point.
So you saw no improvement?
No. So I'm like, why would it help me?
And so because there was no improvement, you've developed the belief that counsellors and psychologists are just not helpful.
Well, not necessarily them, but the process. I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, from what it sounds like to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, seems like you've been through a lot of trauma in your past due to the family violence, your mum's bipolar, and it sounds like really, really difficult times. So you've never ever addressed that? You've never faced it?
No, I guess not.
Okay. And so how do you think that has impacted on areas of your life, like your marriage, for example? You told me last week you were divorced. Do you feel that your past has had impact on that?
Yeah, quite likely.
Yeah.
It was the biggest thing that I had to work on as a person was compulsive lying.
Okay.
Which all three of my parents were like that, and probably still are, I don't know. But it was a big thing, and probably the biggest thing that ended the relationship. Aside from, we were kids when we got together, but like, yeah, that there was some incidents there that like were of my own making, and I fully accept that now.
What kind of things? Could you just give me a couple of examples that you would lie about?
Well, porn is a big problem.
Okay.
And it wasn't a, there's a big sort of stigma of shame, especially growing up Catholic. So it was something that I said that I didn't do, and when it was found out, and when it was found out again after I said it had stopped, there's only so much broken trust that can be mended.
So your wife didn't like you looking at pornographic material?
She said to me that it wasn't that, it was the fact that I lied about it.
Oh,
and
right,
lied
okay.
consistently over time until she found out.
Okay. And were there any other issues, or was that it? Was that just the make and break?
That's the biggest one. Everything else is sort of situational. It's pervasive. Like, you don't even know you're doing it half the time. You lie so much that you convince yourself it's true.
Okay.
And that's a big problem.
So there's a few reasons why people become compulsive liars, or they describe themselves as liars. So you had family violence as a child, and what happens is as a child, you try to protect yourself from the person who's performing the violence. You might have wanted to protect yourself or protect your mum, and the way to do that is to lie. Other people lie to prevent incidences from happening, and then it becomes a way of life, it becomes a habit. Okay, probably more a way of life, a way of going into survival mode to protect you all.
I remember as a kid, there was a time when Mum was going away to see a friend from school, which I now know she was going away to see a friend from school.
Right.
And Dad knew something was up, and like I don't know, he confronted me when she'd left, and he's screaming at me as they do, and he's like, you know where she's going, you know what she's doing, don't you? And I'm like, I just know she's going to see a friend. Put that on the shoulders of an 11-year-old kid and ask them to lie.
I got a clan call the other day from a really old friend of mine, and he wants to catch up. I'm really excited. Really nice guy. So much different to their father. So much different. I'm thinking about leaving your father. What do you think I should say?
I'm not quite sure, Mum.
Oh, come on. You should know how, boys think. Tell me, how would you cope with that?
I don't know.
You don't know? Well, definitely looking forward to catching up with him.
Hey Jacob, where's your mum?
I don't know.
Oh, come on. Fathers and sons have to tell you everything, come on.
She didn't tell me.
Oh yeah, come on.
But she didn't.
So where is she?
She didn't tell me where she's going.
Who did she go with?
I'm not quite sure.
Come on, you need to tell me.
I don't know.
Yeah, come on, you really need to tell me.
But I don't know.
You do. I know
don't.
you do.
I don't.
Come, you need to tell me. I'm your father.
I would, but I don't.
Don't give me this.
I don't.
Seriously.
We're in the toilet.
No.
I'm gonna go.
Jacob, get back here. Like,
There you go. Survival mode, see?
Oh, that's just day to day.
Yeah. So lying became a way to protect yourself and others. Yeah, and it's just the way you knew how to survive. So I believe that you've been in survival mode your whole life. Would that be a fair comment?
Probably.
Yeah. And now it's just all catching up on you, and is it dragging you down in life, do you feel?
She's a travel counselor.
So, when I got kicked out of home, I ended up couch hopping for a while until I got put into crisis accommodation, like a youth house. And after that, I've been pretty much living with friends pretty much since, except for the time when I was married, obviously. I met my wife when I was 21. We spent like 8 years together, so most of my 20s were in a relatively stable sort of place, and then before and after that, it's just been one place to the next. It's with, you know, the marriage ending and the surgery, and now with all the crap that's going on at work, everything is just it's just one long string of endings.
Can you just explain to me about your surgery? I know you've mentioned it a few times.
No, it was a malformed vein when I got a fetus. It's like a congenital thing,
Right.
and then it just when we found it when I was 18, misadvised that it was less serious than it was, and when I was 29, had to have it come out because it was right on the borderline of exploding.
Oh, wow.
So it was necessary surgery, and I was in and out in a weekend, and I've recovered great.
Oh, that's good to hear.
So, you know, it's not as dramatic as it sounds. Like I say,
Okay.
oh, I've had brain surgery, and everyone's like, oh my God, are you okay? And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, all right. So, childhood was very turbulent. Teenagehood, you were very unsettled from place to place. And then as a teenager, you ended up in crisis accommodation. Then you kind of worked through your life a little bit, had the surgery, met your wife. That ended, that relationship. And work. So something's happening with work. Tell me a little bit about that.
You know how people Google stuff and get themselves into a spin, and I've been looking up what constitutes workplace bullying, and I believe that I'm in that situation now. It's just unfair expectations, unfair treatment of myself, and it's not only me either. I've seen other people come out of the office crying
Right.
after being pulled in by the same manager. So,
What kind of things does he complain about with you?
performance, so like timing, quality of work. You know, it's hard when there's less staff than other places of a similar nature. Like, so we're constantly under the pump. You know, expected to do the equivalent of 2 or 3 people's job. And, you know, obviously they've got pressure, but I think they're taking it too far.
So I think you told me last week he was yelling. He yells, and
It's right up in your face.
and that makes you feel like you're back to childhood again.
Jacob, what are you bloody doing sitting down, mate? You're not on holidays.
I'm between clients.
Mate, I've just spoken to Dad and he said you're not pulling your weight.
I don't know what you guys want me to do. There's only so many hours in a day.
Mate, we've put the quota up to 15. You got to pull your head in, otherwise we'll get rid of you.
Yeah, I don't deal well with people in my face yelling at me.
Yeah, well, he shouldn't be doing it for starters.
Yeah.
So, have you got a HR manager? Have you got somebody?
Yeah.
Have you been writing things down? So
Not from the start, but obviously since my incident, I've been writing stuff that I do remember, stuff that I know that
Good.
would be found on camera and stuff like
yeah,
that.
when you are bullied at work, the best thing to do is write down the time, the date, and who did what. So explain about the situation,
Yeah.
because it's very easy to forget if you were to take action. It's very easy to forget dates and times and the specifics. So you don't need to yell back. You don't need to fight back, but you can actually fight back in a different way, and legally, or you can go to HR and you can take it up with management, with the other management. There's ways that you can help yourself with this situation, but you don't need to become aggressive. You don't need to lie. So you don't need to go into that survival mode. Obviously your dad, both of your dads, went into that mode of fight mode. Your mum obviously went into fight mode a lot if she knocked your dad out.
She yo-yos, yeah.
Yep. You were telling me that you go into freeze mode last week, where something happens and you just freeze. Is that right? Yeah. So that's your body's way of saying, I'm not coping with the situation right now,
Yeah.
and then it removes you mentally from that scenario right at that time. What happens to you after? Do you give yourself a hard time?
I get angry at the situation and myself, and I just I become ultra efficient.
Yeah.
I think I work a lot faster, I work harder,
Yeah.
and it kind of freaks people out.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
that's, again, it's
Is
anger
that a way to kind of move on from that situation? So you work to distract yourself.
Yeah.
You try to forget about it. Sounds like that's the strategy you've used your whole life. Just forget about it and just move on. Just forget it never happened, and you just put yourself in that survival mode your whole life.
Yeah.
And you've hit this point now.
Whenever something like this happens, I just get this real deep sense of panic, like impending doom. I just don't want to feel that anymore.
Okay. All right. Well, next week I'll have something prepared for you. I'll give you some strategies if you're up for it.
Sure.
And
That sounds good.
give it a go. See if it makes things a little bit easier at work for you. All right. Take care of yourself.
Yeah, you too.
Bye.